Hello and welcome to week 7. This is our second week of intense rehearsals. So this was an interesting week. I think Monday was probably the most beneficial to me, as this was the day we were supposed to kind of in a way perform our character bios. So this was like an opportunity for us to kind of explore and find out a lot about our own characters, and also for Nat to kind of understand where we are with that and that kind of thing. So we had to come in to the space, to the rehearsal room, dressed in what we think, what if we were our character on a day-to-day basis, what would they wear? And because Myra is she's like a wannabe circus performer. In the show she's probably going to be on trapeze, I think. We've decided that at this point. And yeah, so she's a circus performer, and so I wore like a polka dot corset that kind of reminded me of circus, and so I wore that, and the idea was to interact with everyone as our characters, and some people did this and it was really funny and interesting. And then when we got into it, we were sat in a big circle, and we'd all chosen a song, and we'd sent it to Nat, and she would play a song, and the person who that belonged to would stand up in character, and they'd walk around the space in character until they felt the need to sit down, all in character. And then Nat would ask us a couple of questions, and then the rest of the company could ask a couple of questions. And this was actually really interesting because obviously I had some kind of idea about, I had come up with a backstory for Myra, and I had kind of come up with the story about why she loved circus and why is she on a trapeze in the show. I had come up with that, but then I would be asked other questions which really made me think about this character, and I think it gave me a lot more depth, because after the character bio I was like, yeah, I feel like I really know this character now. So yeah, it was really helpful and definitely made me discover a lot of things that I didn't realise about her. So yeah, that was really helpful. And I also think it helped Nat to kind of understand things about our character, because it's obviously not up to her, it's not all up to her about how what our character is. It's up to us because we're going to be the ones playing them. So yeah, she took notes, and this week she's kept referring back to things that we've all said from our character bio, so I think that yeah, I think that was really helpful for everyone involved. So that was definitely a rehearsal technique which I'll be taking forward with me. Not just hot seating, but planned hot seating. You go away and you really think about certain aspects of a character's life. And then I think you'll just be far more prepared for the kind of hot seating process. Oh, and also another thing about this hot seating was it gave us a chance to physically embody our character, away from the script, because obviously we've been able to read through the script and be like, oh, I think they'd move like this here, but out of the script, how do they move, how do they talk when they're not saying their lines, that kind of thing. And then after our character bio, which took up the entire Monday, on Tuesday and Wednesday we began looking at the bigger group scenes, the more ensemble scenes where more of the cast would be on stage, and some of this got cast and I was put in Sasonian Women, and started giving out lines. So I got a few lines and I've started looking at them, and at the moment we're kind of looking for the humour in this scene, which I think really works because it gets quite serious at the end. So we're kind of looking at the humour and just finding, because some of this play is quite dark, so yeah, it's good to be able to find the humour. And then on Wednesday we had Kat, who's our movement director. She came in and we started to look at and we discussed a lot of Acteon, because in Acteon there's a lot of like dog movement. No, like deer movement, not dog movement. And also there's Diana and the Nymphs, who are like a kind of like a serious rock band, and we have like, I think at the moment the idea is to kind of have like some movement with Diana, who's lip syncing. So we were just kind of like discussing this movement and coming up with it. We came up with quite a few different things, and it changed so many times, so I don't think what we have now is going to be what we perform, but it's like really interesting to see what's happening. And we began looking at the Bacchae, which I've been put in as well, which is comes just after the creation, and it's kind of, from what I can gather from what the Bacchae is at the moment, they kind of represent like just like life, because I think we travel to the afterlife. It's basically like, it's like the only bit of like proper movement that we have in the piece, and it comes right at the beginning, so it's kind of like, these are the people, they're going to the afterlife kind of thing. And we began Friday by looking at the Bacchae again, and I think that some of us were a little bit confused, so I did my own research, and I looked at like the afterlife, and kind of like how different religions, like what they think of like the afterlife, and like what happens when we die, that kind of thing, and what emotion would we be feeling. Would we be excited, like, oh look, we're in the afterlife? Would we be really scared? Would we be like yeah. And Nat was talking about this kind of feeling of ecstasy, like this feeling of being so excited that you just can't contain it, that you have to dance, which I thought was really interesting. So yeah, I did my own research, and yeah, so I'm kind of ready for our next Bacchae session, because I feel like I know more than I did before. So for next session, next week, I think I'm kind of prepared for this because I've done my own personal research, and also I've just been like reading through every scene, so I'm like more familiar with all of them, not just my own. And I think it's good that I did this last week as well, because I got put in Sasanian Women, and I already knew I was going to be an Acteon, but we got given out some of the lines, and I was already familiar with the text at this point, so it didn't really throw me that I was just given some random lines. And next week I just need to remember my script, water, food, all that stuff, and yeah, I just need to rest and be prepared, because these intense rehearsals are quite long days, but I think I'm ready for next week. Thank you.